Hello, I am so excited to have this book launch party. It's going to be a good time to just kind of celebrate the book finally coming out. As many of you know, I've had katiebrinkley.com for a while, and I've never had my website infected. That all came to a change when my website got infected last Thursday, and I was visiting my dad, and unfortunately, website got infected and it took about 6 days to get it fixed. So I wasn't able to really celebrate the book coming out like I would have liked to. So I'm really excited to have all you here now. And like I said, this is going to be a fun just talking about the book, some of the latest social media trends that I've been watching. And there's going to be giveaways. There's going to be some special guests that come in. And I think that we're going to have a good time. So, all that being said, this is the new book, written by Katie Brinkley, The Social Shift, The Road Back to Community. It took me about 18 months to get this book out there, but I'm so thankful that it is there now. And with it, I've was able to get a lot of amazing people to contribute to it and to just put do some praises for it, lack of a better word. But yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about what I talk about in the book, and some of the people that made a made it happen. So actually, that's our very first surprise guest has just popped in, and he is one of the people to contribute to the book. It is none other than Rich Brooks. Hi, Rich. Thanks so much for
Well, hello, Katie. How you
Ah,
doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing up in the cold Maine?
Cold Maine. It doing great. So glad to be part of this. So excited. How does it feel like to have
You
your book
know,
published?
I was telling somebody earlier, it felt kind of like birthing a child. It was really exciting for it to come, and it just took forever.
Mm.
It's like when you first find out that you're gonna have a baby, and it's like, "Yay!" And then it's like, "When's it gonna be here?" And then it's here. It's so exciting. Yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was really fun to to write a book. I didn't actually ever think I would write a book, and now it's done. I'm actually able to hold it, and it feels great.
I can I can concur with you on the book writing thing, how much work it is. I'm not so sure I can on the giving birth to a baby. I'll take your word for it. I guess I could do that now because I also wrote a book and I know how much work it can be. I'm guessing actually having a baby is slightly more painful and more dramatic and probably more rewarding. But the book is still pretty awesome and I enjoyed it. I got one of the early copies and it was great. I cannot wait to get an actual physical copy. Then I can add it to my stack right here that I use to
Yes.
impress people with all my knowledge.
Well, Rich, I'm so thankful to you. You've been a guest on Rocky Mountain Marketing a couple times. You're
Yeah.
one of our featured speakers at Social Profit Lab. And like I've told you many times, like before you and I had the opportunity to be guests on each other's shows, I'd seen you speak a number of times on stage, and everywhere you go, you just give so much value. So having you give me some praises for the book really meant a lot to me. And I really want to thank you for contributing, just to my social media journey, because it definitely was you on stage speaking about different things about your remarkability factor. I talk about that all the time, actually. I do give you credit. I say my friend Rich Brooks calls it the remarkability factor. So, and it's important. It's important for your business. Just really quick, for those who are watching and listening, what is the remarkability factor in a nutshell? Because again, it's in this book in a roundabout way, and it's something that I consider when anytime I make a decision for any clients.
Yeah, I think it's just a way to look at your own company or your own brand and figure out what makes you remarkable, what makes you stand out. And I know the word remarkable can be pretty scary for a lot of people. And the whole point, though, is that it's just what is it about your business that helps you stand out, that makes you unlike any other competitor. You don't always have to be the biggest or the fastest or the cheapest or the most expensive, but you have to find something that helps you stand out from everybody else. And so I talk about the four lenses, which are find, focus, forge, and frame. And find is about something is already within you or your business that is remarkable, that gets people talking. Focus is about the idea of niching down until you're the only person who offers what you do. Forge is about creating something outside your company. Like for me, it was creating the Agents of Change that people don't need to buy to work with you, but helps you stand out. And then frame is just reframing what you offer so its value comes out clearly to your ideal customer. So using those four lenses, you may not be able to put all four into action, can help you really identify what makes you different. And then you can put that into all of your marketing and communication.
Well, for those people who are new to you and say this remarkability thing sounds amazing, where can they get your book? And then also, you have an amazing conference that you just wrapped up, the Agents of Change conference.
Yeah.
Are virtual tickets still available?
You can still get all 9 sessions. We had a great lineup of speakers this year, and all 9 sessions are available. If you go to theagentsofchange.com, you can see it. We had Nancy Harhut, and we had Chris Mercer, and we had a whole selection. I don't want to kind of name them all, but we had a great lineup this year. It was a lot of fun. It was the first time back after COVID, so a 3-year break. And we're already gearing up for Agents of Change 2024, which is going to be in October and it takes place in Maine. But also this year, for the first time, we're actually going to be introducing a virtual summit. And you and I have to talk about that very soon. But we're
Yeah.
going to be doing a summit version of this as well with a lot more speakers, and it's going to be free for all. And I'm looking forward to doing this. This will be I always like to challenge myself in new and scary ways. And this is what 2024 is going to be about.
Well, and I think that too, Rich, the summits are great. You were a speaker at mine in last February, and you gave a great session. But like I said, it's Agents of Change was one of the first podcasts I was listening to when I started my social media journey. I've been a guest on it. Agents of Change conference is always great. And like I said, I'm so thankful to you for, contributing to the book, reading an advanced copy and saying like, this is good. I'm willing to put my name in it. So I really appreciate it. And you spending the time on it. So.
Well, Katie, you're a great writer and you're an inspiration, and I wish you all the luck in the world with this book. And you and I will definitely continue to have more conversations outside of this live stream because we need to catch up.
Heck yeah, we do. And I want to, Rich,
Oh
thank
my
you so
God.
much for your
Sure.
time. Here's Joe. I threw him in.
Rich, how are you?
Joe,
I
I'm
figured
doing
you
well,
guys probably
sir.
would
How
like
are
to
you?
say
I
hi
was
to
not.
each other.
I was not. I was drinking my coffee. I was not
I'm
expecting
like the
to just be
Spanish
thrown in.
Inquisition. Nobody expects me, but there I am.
I know, and you caught me in my Deadpool shirt. I don't
Oh,
usually
very
wear
nice.
this, but I had to
He's
throw on
not
the orange
orange.
Cleveland. I put on the orange Cleveland hat because
Yeah.
have to.
I am wearing something of Spider-Man, but because this is a all ages stream, I cannot show you what it is actually that
This
I'm
is
wearing.
a safe.
But,
it's a safe for work stream. We
yeah,
all have
exactly.
to. We have to do our
Yeah,
thing.
we're sitting here with the two amazing event producers, Rich Brooks and Joe Palizzi. And Joe, he wrote the foreword of The Social
That's a
Shift.
serious get right there for
Did.
you, Katie. The fact that Joe did.
I was honored, and I'm just so excited for you, Katie. I know you've really wanted to publish this for a long time, and so just to be part of that process was an honor. So, and by the way, I was just like literally 5 minutes ago, I was on your site buying the book. So thank you for selling directly, so I don't have to go through Amazon or Barnes and Noble to buy.
Yes.
I wanted to buy directly from you, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Joe. And, Rich, I want to thank you for popping in, and feel free to stay as long as you'd like, but I know you have a day,
Nope,
and I
I
kind
gotta
of just
go.
threw
Yeah,
this
my
at you saying
daughter's
like,
back from college,
okay.
and I want to go hang out with her a bit. But Joe,
Awesome.
Great seeing you. You look sharp as
Absolutely.
heck.
We'll catch up soon. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds awesome. And Katie, always a pleasure.
Always a
Bye,
pleasure,
everyone.
Rich. Well, Joe, I want to thank you so much for stopping in and saying hi. I know I've reached out to your team and said, is there any chance that Joe could just pop by in for 5 to 10 minutes? Because you were, like I said, you wrote the foreword of the social shift, which I'm so thankful for.
Which
And
is the worst part of the book, by the way.
it
It
is
is
not.
absolutely the worst part.
It is great. And, I just have to share the story because if it wasn't for you, I'd still be sitting with the manuscript and saying like, well, now that was fun spending all that time writing it. And I don't know what to do next. But at Michael Stelzner's crypto business conference, you were a speaker there. And I came up to you and I said, I'm writing a book and I'm really excited about it. And you said, I'd love to read it. And honestly, by you just saying I'd love to read it, inspired me to actually finish it. Because I started it, I had the outline done, but I really didn't have much else with it. But you just saying that you like to read it helped me finish it. And then once I finished it, you gave me the gift of your time because I was like, I don't know what to do with it because I've written a book and the person I thought was going to help me publish it, I haven't been able to get a hold of. And you said, well, why don't you send over the
Funny
manuscript? Let me
thing.
see what you have. If it's any good? And you had this new endeavor that you started. So would you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about what that is? And
Yeah, well, it's you being one of the first people to publish as part of our little service called Tilt Publishing. It all worked out so well because we were trying to
Mhm.
launch the service as a beta service, and I'm like, okay, we need to find some people that have some like a near finished manuscript that we can get going. And then you and I were talking. I'm like, okay, this is going to work out really well. And of course, you and I are bumping into each other at a number with our CEX VIP sessions, and then at all the events we run into each other. And I said, okay, Katie, your book is in line with everything we're doing. Would you like to publish this through Tilt Publishing? So basically, the idea of Tilt Publishing is, I'll give you an example it'll set the tone for this. For Content Inc., which I first published in 2015 and then again in 2021, I've sold about 100,000 copies, which is a really big deal, and I'm
Yeah.
very proud of it. But here's the sad thing: I don't have one person's information of who bought the book. I have none of that. What I would give for 1,000 or 5,000 of those names to know who purchased the book. And I only know from, somebody will say, I bought your book, and that's great. They'll email me or I find it on social, and that's wonderful. But I don't have that direct connection with anyone. And as I started to learn more about the book publishing industry, I said, there's a better way to do this. And that's the core behind what we believe it with Tilt Publishing is. We want content creators, content entrepreneurs, authors to sell directly, to not only make more money, because as you know, with your book, you can set the pricing however you want for your book because you're selling direct. But
Mhm.
the second thing is, I just bought a book from from katiebrinkley.com, and I bought that, and you will see, I don't know if you're
I
looking at
did
it right
see.
now, but you just saw it come through. It probably says hi Pam, because
It does. I
I
was like,
used
"Oh,
my
Pam
wife's
bought my book," but it was
I
you.
used her PayPal account. So I'm hopefully she's not listening to this because I've used her money to do this. But so you have that data. You have my email address, and so you have that direct connection. We don't, and there's a lot of really good ways. And I'm not a naysayer of selling on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or Walmart. I think you should figure out ways to use that for discoverability. But when you have your own set of fans like you do, you have your own subscriber base, you have your own customers, don't send them away to an Amazon, to a Barnes and Noble, and have somebody else have your customer data and somebody
Yeah.
and take a good chunk of the profit that you could have from your hard work of putting this book together. So that's sort of the core for Tilt Publishing. We take your finished manuscript and we design it. We do, obviously the cover design, the layout. We have a professional editor look all the way through it and edits
Yeah,
and
I mean,
proofreading and the whole thing, right? To
this
print the book from what you had, Katie. You had your final manuscript all the way to the end, and it was an honor kind of bring, and you were of course our beta author, helping us work out the bugs, which is what we're trying to do to make this process really special. And now you're selling it directly, which is wonderful. And so that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, absolutely, there's things that you should do with Amazon and other folks that you should sell, but we really believe the long-term business model for authors should be selling directly, and that's what you allowed us to do. And so I'm so excited that your book is one of the first ones that we can put up to the light and say, yes, this is the
Yeah.
way it should be done.
Yeah, and when I saw it, like, I saw the proofs and everything, Joe, but, like, I don't know if you watched me do the unboxing, but, like, I got
I
emotional with
did.
it because it's and I mean, you've written a number of I have your book right here, you know?
Hey, epic content marketing.
Yeah, I
Yay.
mean, you've written a number of books, Joe, and with when you see it and I guess when you hold it for the first time, that's when you can realize that it's real. But, oh my gosh, I actually wrote a book, and people can hold it and read it and, learn from me. It's a really rewarding feeling.
And I don't know, I mean, let me ask you this, like, so you were working with another person to get this thing published, and I know you said it didn't work out, and you've been very transparent about that. But at least this is with my case, and I'm asking about your case. Even once you get to that close to final manuscript, it still is pretty daunting to
Mhm.
figure out how do I get this thing home. I mean, how many friends of yours and mine do we know that they have a near finished book and they just haven't taken all you have to do a lot, especially in self-publishing to get that
Yeah.
home, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. So that's kind of how we were trying to was that part of it? It's like, how do I take it from
Yeah,
this
I
is
didn't know what to
a document,
do.
Word document. How do I take
Yeah.
it all the rest of the way?
I didn't well, and I when I started the book, ChatGPT wasn't it wasn't what it is now, you know? It would have been awesome, it would have probably been finished a lot sooner, but, I mean, I didn't know what to do, where to take it, what to do with it, and I thought Amazon was the only way to go, and I was like, "Well, how am I gonna actually even, like, tell people about it?"
Mhm.
But with what why why I'm so appreciative of you is the way that the Tilt Publishing works by going through the website. And now I've had a lot of people say like, "Well, wait, why aren't you selling it on Amazon?" But I know who is purchasing it, and I can see like, "Oh, that's awesome, Kamiko bought 3 copies. That means a lot to me. I wonder who she's gonna share them with."
Mhm.
I actually can put a face to the name and it drives back so much of what think is so important is the community side of social media and that with having a book of knowing who is it that's reading, I can have a two-way conversation with people. It's just like a podcast. I watched your This Old Marketing podcast this morning and I just did a little comment, but it's so neat to be able to say like, okay,
Mhm.
so and so is listening, so and so is watching, so and so is reading. You can have a face to go with the name and you can ask for feedback or build out so much more content based on what your community is doing.
Well, and the customer journey is so different. So I went to your site. Of course, this is all your stuff. And actually, the process was really easy. And I go ahead and purchase the book, and I get a direct email from you. Thank you for your purchase. I didn't get it from Amazon. I didn't get it from B&N. That's a big difference. That like it made an immediate impact
Mhm.
on the whole process of it. And don't we want to do that? I mean, if you're sending, hey, I've got a great book, go somewhere else and let's have this whole customer communication with a company that has more billions of dollars than they need to have.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so I almost it's almost like a small business Saturday type thing where if
yes.
you really and by the way, I get the same thing. It's like because I'm changing my whole process from selling on and by the way, there's nothing wrong with selling on Amazon.
No,
You could,
no.
but the point is we're trying to say is for your core fans, for the fans that are subscribers, they love you, they want to support you, whatever, don't send them away. Have a separate experience for them. So that's why whoever asked you that question is, it's like absolutely. And I don't know if you are you will you have a secondary process to get the ebook up on Amazon or something like that? I'm assuming that's part of what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm working with the Tilt publishing team on
I
that
should
and
know
and
this.
an audiobook. It's okay, we took you off. There was a lot of back and forth 'cause my website got infected with malware, and there was some panic that ensued, because we're only selling the book on the website. So,
Yeah.
we removed you from that. But yes, the goal is to have the audiobook and the ebook available on Amazon
Which
in
makes
February.
perfect sense, right? Because you're selling it right now. You're doing a launch to all the people that know you. And then for discoverability, you'll have that later.
Yes.
Obviously the audiobook is a different function, the ebook. And then even, I mean, and if you even wanted to sell the print, you could do that on Amazon as well and still reap the benefits of making sure it's out there in discoverability. But you want to make sure that in your newsletter, if you're saying, hey, buy my book, buy The Social Shift, you want to send
Yeah.
it back to your site, not away.
So I know that I kind of just sprung this live on you today here, and I so appreciate you stopping by. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but as you're growing this new publishing company, what would you give to people that one have kind of been toying with the idea of writing a book? What advice would you give them? And two, who's a good fit for the Tilt Publishing?
So the first, if anybody's read any of the books that I've written before, Epic, the one you have in your hand, or Content Inc., or whatever the case is, I always talk about the book being core to the content entrepreneur strategy. I believe that there's three keys to really making this happen, as in your career, my career, and other content entrepreneurs like us. And it is like, what, first of all, what's your content base? Where is the place that you call home for content creation? So when I started with Content Marketing Institute, that was the blog. And then with the Tilt, which we launched in 2021, it was the newsletter. So what is that thing? What's that base where you have your content mission and your target audience? The second thing is speaking, I believe, is very important. You're out there speaking all the time. I'm speaking all the time. I think that's really important to get out there and see your customers and prospects in person, and the serendipity and the amazing things that you never thought would happen when you go speak in an event. So you have this base here, and then you have, okay, the speaking, and that third leg of the stool is a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how important I think it is. So that if you are a content entrepreneur, and especially on the nonfiction side, and you stand for anything and you want to be known as the leading informational expert, you should have a book. It's not
Yeah.
as it's probably not as bad as it used to be, where, like, for example, you and I both spoken at Mike Stelzner's event, Social
Yep.
Media Marketing World, and he did the same thing that we did when we launched Content Marketing World. It's like it was preferential treatment for those people that publish books. And you know what? It's still it's still in play today. I've submitted to a number of events that I wanted to speak at, and it says, "Are you an author? And what's your book? And what's the link?" And whoever the
Yep.
committee is, that plays a big deal. So if you want to, put these three legs together and really make them work, you have to have a book as part of that. So my advice would be, get it done, spend a little time every day writing. Some days it's going to be horrible words, and other days it's going to come together. For nonfiction books, I like to do a table of contents. And then a lot of that table of contents is from the podcasts and the blog posts that I've already put together. So, I mean, my first couple books, I did a blog to book strategy. So I would set an editorial calendar of my blog posts, and then a number of those I would bring out as chapters and expand on those. And if you do that right, you've got 75% of a book. So
Yeah.
don't get overwhelmed. You might have a lot of the content already. Do a content audit, a basic content audit of what you have, and say, okay, do I have a lot of those things going? So I would just say, set a timetable for a finished manuscript. If you don't set the timetable, it might never happen, and you will continue to put it off. And do it in the so if you say, okay, well, what's a business book like yours and mine? It's about 70,000 words. So you're like, okay, well, 70,000 words. Well, what if you wrote 1,000 words a day, 5 days a week? And within a couple months, you've got yourself a finished manuscript. It's not that much.
Yeah.
So just 500 to 1,000 words a day, you could sit down there in an hour and get that done. And just get it out on paper. Don't worry about editing as you go. Get the thoughts out there, and then you can go through the process of all the editing like you and I have gone through. You're like, okay, I need somebody to look at this. I need somebody to review this. You edit it, and then you're ready for finish. So that would be my advice: is set the table, set your goals, set the timetable, and get that done. For Tilt Publishing, I mean, there is a criteria we're looking for. I mean, to be honest, I want to find
Yeah.
creators that have an audience. That's what we're looking for. So if you go to thetilt.com/publishing, you can submit for more information. We would love to look at that. So selfishly, we want you to sell a lot of copies, because it helps us and it helps you and whatever. But to be honest, I really want content entrepreneurs to get their books out. And if for some reason they're stopped and we can help get them out, that's what we want to do. So if you just can't take it, you've gone 90 yards and you need another 10, and we can help you do that 10. I think that's what Tilt Publishing can do. So we'll take a look at the manuscript. We'll find an editor for that makes sense with our group of amazing editors that we have. We will help you. We'll get it designed. We'll do the different cover images, and then we'll help you set it up like we did for you, Katie, and helping you sell direct to your fans and subscribers. So
And
that's it.
and I think that it makes sense because you're looking for people that already have an audience, are content creators,
Right.
are content entrepreneurs. I mean, that's very in alignment with your business model, the content entrepreneur. And real fast, I want to just say, because we have another special guest that
Yay.
popped in, and I didn't want to take up too much of, like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your time because I know that you, like I said, I just kind of sprang this on you. And so
It's
I'm so
okay.
appreciative
Oh no,
of you.
absolutely. I was waiting for
Um,
the invite and I got it. So I was happy.
well, awesome. So you, as I said, you want for Tilt Publishing, you want people to have an audience. And yeah, Joe, your setup does look so pro. But content entrepreneur, it's kind of that's you've built content marketing world over about it, the Content Entrepreneur Expo, CEX, which is one of my favorite conferences that I go to every year. I was so fortunate enough to speak last year at it. I went to the very first one in Arizona, and I was
I think
like,
that
I was
was where we
so
first like met in person, I believe, was at that event.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe, you just know how to put on a great event. If who should go to CEX this May, and what would be their biggest takeaway if they go to CEX? Because like I said, selfishly, it's one of my favorite events. I can't imagine ever not going to it because it really helps me elevate and think of things that I had not even considered. I think I even wrote a testimonial about what a game
You
changer it
did. Thank
is.
you. And we've been using
Um,
it all over the place. So
well,
it's
because it's true.
perfect.
It's because it's true.
Thank you. Yeah. May 5th through 7th in Cleveland, Ohio. CEX.events is where you can find out more information about it. If you're a content creator and you want to be a full-time content entrepreneur and you want to build a financially viable business, you want to set your own hours, you want to do it in a way that makes sense for your family, and you want to live the life that you want to live, and you want to do that through the lens of a content creator, that's what we focus on. How do you drive revenue multiple ways, diversify your strategy? How do you build audience on the different platforms, whether that's a newsletter, a podcast, YouTube, whatever? How do you build that business model that makes sense for you, where you want to be with your life right now? How do you leverage AI? How do you use those AI tools? How do you make sure that it's not weird, that you're using them the right way? How do you use it in a way that you can take advantage of it and not be squashed in your competitive set by what's going on with AI? How do you we're going to talk a lot about book publishing. How do you publish your book? What makes sense? How do you get started? So basically, if you're just trying, yeah, exactly. If you're trying to, if you are a content creator and you want to go full time, come to Content Entrepreneur Expo. If you're a content entrepreneur and you want to drive revenues from, let's say, 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures, then we'll have all the things that you need. We'll have the best content entrepreneurs out there to help you take your business to the next level. And by the way, this community is my favorite community on the planet.
Yeah.
They're so everyone's
Yes.
like yourself is so helpful. We all want to help each other. Nobody competes with each other. We're just like, and that's maybe my favorite thing that's happened from the 22 and the 23 event is how many of these content entrepreneurs are working with each other to help each other, and they're growing together. It's pretty
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, and I'll add in the URL here if people are interested in it, because it's event, correct? Right? Not events.
CEX.events.
Okay.
Events.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
whoops. Okay.
That's okay.
Let's
You got it.
fix it.
Or just Content
There.
Entrepreneur Expo, type it into your favorite search
All
engine
right.
and
Yes.
you will find it.
Well, Joe, I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you so much for writing the foreword of The Social Shift. Check out CEX. Like I said, it's one of my favorite events. I'm probably Ann Handley's biggest super fan. So anytime she takes the stage, I am all in. And anytime she posts on LinkedIn, it inspires so much. Like I typically make like 2 or 3 podcasts from it. And she spoke at the last CEX, so that's why I bring her up. But I mean, you really can put together a great lineup of speakers. So thank you for CEX, and thank you so
Well,
much for
congratulations. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And when I get the book in a couple days, I'll make sure that I do a little LinkedIn promotion for you. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
eh,
Yes, thank
well, I
you.
mean, you let me write the foreword, so I sort of have to. It's sort of, I
Yeah.
think that's part of the thing. When somebody asks you to write the foreword, you have to do a LinkedIn post. It's sort of written in the agreement.
Yeah. Well, and Joe too, and then I've got 2 more guests in the waiting room here, but I have to say that, like you were saying, like if you have a book, more opportunities do present themselves. And just from me, I think you mentioned it on This Old Marketing, which if anybody's not listening to it, absolutely check out This Old Marketing, Joe and Robert. I watch it on LinkedIn on Friday mornings when I'm getting ready. But previously, you mentioned that you were working and with me to publish this book, and a couple people heard the episode and have since reached out for me to be a guest on their
Oh,
show, just
that's
because they're like,
amazing.
so Michael Stelzner from Social Media Examiner, I'm going to be a guest on his show because he's like, wait a second, I know Katie Brinkley. I didn't know she wrote a book. And then again, like the opportunities happen from it. So thank you. Thank you for everything. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's only just begun, so I'm very excited for
Yeah.
you. I'm glad to be part of the whole thing you're doing. So thank you for the opportunity as well. So
Awesome.
congratulations.
Well, thank you so much again, Joe. I'll let you get back to
Sounds
your
good.
Friday. Have a great
Okay.
rest of your day. Jenny Wright, thank you for popping in. I love all these surprise guests that are coming in here, guys, and supporting the book launch. I have the next guest is already here too, and I can see him getting excited. And Jenny, you were sending me text messages like, "Send me the link, girl. I want to get in on this." So you're muted, girlfriend.
I am so sorry about that. I muted myself. Apologies. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations.
Well, you got to see a lot of the behind the scenes stresses of launching a
I
book.
did.
Yeah, because I think you got a very stressed text message on Thursday evening at probably close to 10 p.m. your time. Because that's when I found out that my website had been infected by malware. And the only spot that I was choosing to sell the book was on my website.
You know, it's not a book launch unless something tech-wise goes screwy. Okay? Like I've launched enough things in my life. I've done enough book launches in my life to know that something's going to happen. Now, your thing
Yeah.
was huge. Like this took like everything down. And this is not like a little problem. This isn't like a broken link or a little, this is like, we're going to wipe out your whole website for you. Let's just take the whole thing down and make it impossible for you to do the thing. Yeah. That level of stress. Yeah, I totally get it. I would be freaking out.
Well, and you've been such a huge part of my business journey these past almost 4 years, which is crazy to think about. But you were the magic puppet master behind the scenes of Social Profit Lab last February. You've been kind of my steady hand when like things like malware and stuff kind of creep up on me and everything. And you got to see a lot of the behind the scenes with the book. And I think that you gave a lot of feedback for me on the cover. You and your partner did.
Yes.
I know. The biggest thing that Jen, which I thought was a great idea, was a sideways title for like, because then you had to shift it up.
Yeah.
But yes, I loved that idea. So tell me, Jenny, because you've been a part of my world now for a while, and well, just quickly for those that don't know what you do, I said that you were like my steady hand in this world of entrepreneurship. You've been like my business BFFFF.
You're so lucky you have so many BFFFFFs. It's so good. You have so many people supporting
No,
you.
you're yeah. And so tell me with the social media, we'll tell people what it is that you do really quick, but I want you to kind of say like, you've seen a lot of things change with social media just since you and I have been connected. What are you most excited about with social media right now? Because I think it's changing so fast.
Yes, it is. And to answer your first question, I am a lead generation specialist and a marketing strategist. And so I support people with building really robust email lists, lead generation, and then I do a ton of launches. And then I do the marketing strategy to find all the areas in your business where leads are leaking out, and I help plug them. So that's sort of what I do in a nutshell. In terms of the social media stuff, there's such a huge shift that's happening, hence the title of the book, but there's this huge shift. So we're seeing all these, like, I call them pendulum swings. Like, we go so far to one side and then we go so far to the other. And we're always trying to find that equilibrium or balance. And I think that the social channels like to keep us a little bit off balance so that we're constantly trying to make adjustments and change things. And I think that's normal. And so we're always in this space of trying to get to a place of balance. And one of the things that I think that you've had your finger on the pulse on is how to post effectively without having to post 20 times a day or 10 times a week or whatever the deal is. And I find that you've been able to support me in figuring that out, and it helps my clients, obviously. But it's very interesting to see, like, how things are changing on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and I think that with social media, especially in the world of AI, which we're going to get into with our next surprise guest, he just perked up over there in the green room when I mentioned AI. But we have to be cognizant of all the ways that it's impacting our businesses. And, NFTs kind of got a bad rap due to some shady people in the market, but that sort of technology isn't going to be going away. Web3 is not going to be going away. The metaverse is still being worked on by, these tech billionaires. So what I want people to learn about is where we started with social media. Not even just social media, of like how we started with connecting with people through, Morse code and, the Telegram. We've always tried to find a way to connect with people. We're in this Web 2 world right now where we're connecting with people, but it's based on somebody else's terms, aka the algorithm. So when we go into the next phase of the internet, this Web 3 world, how are we going to be set up for posting up and showing up intentionally so that you have your community that says, I'm not going to rely on the algorithm to show me your content. I know that this is the community I want to be a part of. This is the business I want to get the information from. And that's what the social shift talks about. And chapter 8 is my favorite. It's the post less for more business chapter, and how you can, again, build that intentionality around your business. So Jenny, you've been, like I said, kind of this steady hand, and you did amazing things for Rich Brooks was on earlier, and he's from Agents of Change, and he mentioned doing a virtual summit. And I know that you two have talked, and I think that when it comes to lead generation and list building, Joe talked about it as well, that you probably heard a little bit of. That's why I decided to sell it directly on my website, because I'm building out my list. I'm finding out who my community members are. I'm learning, like, okay, well, I can see that Kamika purchased 3 copies. And so
it's a great
okay, well,
tactic.
who's she going to share? I can now look and see, like, okay, she bought 3. Who's she going to share these other 2 copies with? I can have a 2-way conversation with her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're hitting a point that, and not too lightly either. And I know we have, like, I know who's in the green room, and I know who's going to talk about AI, and I'm excited because, like, he's amazing. And the thing with what we're going through right now is we're going to have people who are going to be like, is it real or is it AI? We know that AI is sticking around, but where are we going to build communities of, like, real people? Where are we going to be able to connect with people in a real way? Those are the conversations that we're looking for. And you and I both know that at the moment, if somebody's using AI incorrectly to do, like, social media outreach, it's incredibly visible. If they're not doing it right. It sounds performative. It sounds crappy. It sounds like, copy pasty. And with, the little, what is it? The rocket ship emoji. Every time I see that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But in terms of lead generation, list building, and the way that people are trying to connect, there's always a place for the organic reach side. There's always a place for that one-to-one connection. There's always going to be online summits. There's always going to be online events and challenges and lives like this, because people will continue to crave that interpersonal connection. And the way that you explain it in the book, which I've purchased and I can't wait for my copy.
Yeah.
I know this because we've talked about it, is creating that community feel and making sure that people feel seen and heard and understood. And you have methods and strategies to do that, which I find are incredibly helpful.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much. I really appreciate you popping in here. And I know that I invited you to join me on this live and be one of the surprise guests. And then I failed to send you the link to join. So thank you for so adamantly trying to get the link in here. I saw the Facebook message and I was like, oh my gosh, poor Jenny. She's like trying to support me. And I failed to give her the link to join. For those who want to learn more about you, you do have a podcast, the Acquire podcast, that people should listen to. You're going to be speaking at Capshovians Live in Orlando in January.
Yes.
And where else can people learn more about you? Or if they're like, hey, I want to have some more lead gen or anything like that, I want to grow my list. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Connect with me easily on Instagram. That's sort of where I check my DMs the most, or Facebook. My website is about to go through a whole overhaul, but it'll be beautiful by January. But you can also go to the website, jennywright.com, take a look at what I have there. Please do know that it's like going to be revamped, but do reach out and reach out to me either on LinkedIn or Instagram. That's where I am the most.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for popping in, and thank you so much for supporting The Social Shift. I really appreciate you. And I will let you get back to your Canadian Friday, because I know that your Fridays are your Jenny days. So thank you for taking the time out of your Jenny day to be with me.
Anytime for you.
And that brings us to our next guest, Mr. Larry Roberts, the infamous man in the red hat. He's here. And you're muted.
I'm just continuing the trend. Jenny started it. I'm like, I don't want her to feel left out. So I muted myself as well.
Well, Larry, you and I got connected back on our days of Clubhouse when you had the Readily Random podcast.
Yep.
And we have definitely had the opportunity to learn from each other and grow together. We're in the same mastermind, Alex Sanfilippo's mastermind. Alex is actually in the book because I talk all about how he has built his community and the power of social media. Whether he likes it or not, he does. I mean, he is so. I love Alex, but he doesn't have a TV at his house. He has zero apps on his phone. And I'm saying all this because he can't defend himself right now.
No, it's fair. It's fair. And for somebody that's so big in the media space, he's he avoids media at all costs, honestly, for himself.
He does, but he also, while avoiding media, he's built an incredible community, and he does it on social media. But how he's intentional with his time. So that's definitely one of the key things of The Social Shift. And Larry, I know that you popped in a little bit late, but I wanted to real quick introduce you. But we had one of our previous guests was the man who wrote the foreword of my book and the publisher of The Tilt Publishing, Joe Palizzi. And I know that you are in the process of writing a book as well. So just real quick, you are, with all things AI, you kind of have become that go-to source in an AI world. And I mean, it's just like social media. There's always new trends. There's always new things to talk about. So it's giving you a full-time job. So tell us just real quick about why AI and what we can expect from your book.
Yeah, it's interesting because the whole AI thing kind of came out of the blue. Once ChatGPT dropped November of last year, I immediately saw the opportunity with generative AI. And a lot of it goes back to people go, oh, you're the podcast guy. Now you're jumping on the AI trend. And it was funny because as you were talking to Jenny, you mentioned the NFT trend and the whole blockchain trend. And while I do not disagree in any way, shape, fashion, or form, blockchain is here to stay. The whole NFT craze did tend to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths when it came to the next AI. Well, that's not even a trend. It's just the next AI. Yeah. What do we call it? Iteration? I don't know. The next evolution of AI, of tech. So a lot of people are looking at AI as being the next NFT gig, and it's just not. It's not like that at all. With AI, I think it passes what I call the mom test. So if I show my mom and she can ask ChatGPT a question and it expands on her favorite topic and gives her all this insight, she's like, oh my gosh, I can just talk to it. Yes. And, you and I, we had many, many conversations over the last several years about NFTs, and I never really got it. I never really
Mhm.
I knew just enough to buy a couple of NFTs and then have them stolen from me. So it worked out really, really well for me. And I just never was, I just wasn't sold on the whole thing. But AI is a totally different animal. Due to my corporate background, I'd already been working in an environment that we were leveraging machine learning, we were leveraging predictive analytics. So I had an AI background there. So from me being the AI guy, it makes a lot more sense than just being the podcast guy jumping on the latest tech trend. It's not that
Yeah.
at all. And I had the opportunity to do a talk last January, or this year's. We're still in December, so January of this year, about using AI for creatives, for leveraging content for your podcast, to streamline your podcast workflow, and to create content on social media. And that just opened up so many doors. And over the last year, it just continues to open doors. Now I'm a regular on ABC here in the Dallas Fort Worth market, on the morning show here in DFW, talking about AI. I'm their AI consultant there. I do some consulting, I do quite a bit of consulting now. It's actually become one of the forefronts of my business with the State Board of Education here in the state of Texas on how to incorporate AI into curriculums and bringing our educators up to speed on what AI brings to the forefront for the education space. And it's just opened up so many doors. So yeah, AI has really given me a shift on top of
Yeah.
everything else that the Red Hat represents.
Well, and Larry, in the book, I get into Web3, metaverse, AI. Where do you see with what you've been thinking about with A over the past year, where do you see this next iteration of social media going?
You know, from a social media perspective, it's kind of hard. It's interesting to see because a lot of people struggle with their social media. They struggle, and I know your approach to social media, which is awesome, totally opposite to what we've been programmed with all of these years. Everybody's always trying to find that time to be on social media 86 times a day. If you listen to Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy and you listen to the social media bros, that's the approach that we're supposed to be taking. And in all honesty, unless you have 20, $30,000 to add, to throw at social media every month, you're never going to meet those expectations. But AI at least gives us a little bit of a leg up in that social media space, and that it allows us to create content much more effectively and much more efficiently. I mean, if we use a tool like a Chat GPT to come up with a content calendar for an entire month, we can have that in seconds as compared to hours as we spend trying to,
Mhm.
what am I going to post on Tuesday? What am I going to post on? We have it right there for us. So with one prompt, we can have an entire month's worth of content. And if we find an opportunity to leverage that on a consistent basis, it really streamlines our overall social media workflow.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the biggest things is to use it as that partner, not that replacement.
100%.
It and use it as the brainstorming partner, use it to help navigate, this world of social media, and y digital marketing because there's like you said, there's so many things that you need to do these days, and really, are there that many things that you need to do, and how can you spend the time doing less so that you're building out the majority of your fans, and AI is that number one employee that can help you know how to use it. You just have to know how to use these AI tools so that they're not just, like I said, it's not meant to just replace you. The copy and paste, like Jenny said, the with the rocket ship emoji, it's like, oh, all right, AI wrote that one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's obvious at times that AI is writing your content. But one of the things that I tend to specialize in is helping people leverage these tools in their own voices.
Yeah,
And you kind of talked about my book, and I wrote my entire book in Chat GPT, and I wrote it in about 6 hours. So, I had a speaking engagement in San Diego. Everybody wanted to buy my book after I came off stage, and little old me did not have a book.
yeah,
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm the AI guy. Why wouldn't I use AI to write a book? So I did that. And that's become one of my most current speeches is how to write a book using AI. I know you put a much more personal touch on your book and took it from more of a traditional perspective, and they serve two different purposes. So while AI is not the answer for every author, depending
mhm.
on what your goals are for your book, it could be an effective alternative.
Well, and Larry, well, transparently, like I wasn't you AI wasn't as prominent a year ago when I started writing this as it is today.
Sure.
Before I sent off my manuscript to Joe, because he was like, "Oh, it might be a good fit. Go ahead and send me the manuscript." I was like, "Oh gosh, I got to make sure this is extra good." There's no, this. I ran it through Claude, which is
Yeah.
another AI tool. It's like, can you just act as an expert copywriter and give me some feedback and I ran it through AI before I sent it off to him. Well, Larry, I thank you so much for popping in here because a lot of the book has to do with this next iteration of the internet with Web3, AI, NFTs, and with all of it, it's the main goal of all of it is to remain human. And
Sure.
like you were just saying with your book that's going to be coming out, AI is there. You wrote your book with AI, but how can you still bring in your tone, your personality, your voice? Because that's where the magic happens is you. You're the
Sure.
magic in your business. You talk about your red hat all the time. By the way, I saw it was like this glass, like etched glass vase thing. I took a picture of it. I will send it to you.
Okay.
And it's just supreme.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And
All right.
I
Yep.
was like,
Yep.
"Oh my gosh," because
Yeah, I mean that's the source of the red hat. I mean that was really the seed that was planted. Rocking that Supreme hat
Mhm.
until our mutual friend Alex Sanfilippo brought it to my attention that why would I wear their merch when I'm on stage? I need to wear my merch.
Yes.
And so we went from the Supreme hat, which all the Supreme products are red, to just the unbranded red hat, and that's the real quick version of the birth of the red hat story. But it literally changed my life. It changed everything,
Yep.
and it changed it so quickly. That's what's really the shocker, is
Yes.
just how fast the red hat took root and really helped me stand out in that crowd. So and just kind of going back to the AI thing, I still had to go back, even though I wrote my book in 6 hours with ChatGPT. I still had to go back and put my stories in.
Oh, yeah.
Every chapter has humanity in it. It has a little bit of Larry in it, changing paragraphs, changing sentences, adding paragraphs. And of course, I had to write the chapter on the birth of the red hat because ChatGPT doesn't know my story.
Yep.
So I still had to add that bit of humanity. So if we really want to break it down, it took me about a weekend to
Yeah.
write my book, but that's a lot quicker than most other authors that are out there. So, but again, you got to have that humanity aspect of it too.
For sure. Definitely. I 100% agree. Well, Larry, I know that you have a really busy day, so I can't thank you enough for popping in. And it was a surprise to me because I
I
asked
didn't think
you,
I
and
would
the
make it.
answer was originally no. And so I was like, when I saw you in the green room, I was really excited that you popped in.
Well,
So
thank you so much.
thank you for being one of the surprise guests. And for anyone that has questions on AI, be sure to follow the Larry Roberts on all the social channels. Connect with him at Podfest. He is like Mr. Podfest. You can always find him in the red hats. And if you're looking for a great speaker to come and talk at your event about AI, reach out to Mr. Larry Roberts.
I'd
He's the
love to be
man.
there. I'd love
So
to do it for you. Thank you so much, Katie. Best of luck with your book. Congratulations.
thank
All right,
you.
we'll see you.
All right. Whoops, I cut him off a little bit. Well, he's just saying, I'll see you later. At least he's laughing about it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming to the Social Shift book launch party. If you are still watching this live, there's been a number of you that have been popping in and out and leaving comment live because you are going to be entered into a drawing for your free copy of The Social Shift hardback, not paperback. It is available in hardback and in paperback. Again, comment live. And then after this, I will be popping in and I will pick a random winner who will get a free copy of The Social Shift. And the surprise guest went a little bit longer than I anticipated. I wanted just to, I feel like this is kind of braggy, but to do it, but I do want to share a couple of the reviews and from the book because the people that I reached out to read my book first are people that I highly respect in the industry who I feel are doing it right. They're building community. They're people who are trying to disrupt the way that we show up on social media because with what we've done on over the past 2 decades since good old Tom created MySpace, We've moved from connecting into consuming. On Joe's This Old Marketing podcast this morning, they shared a stat that really disheartened me. And that's 25% of teens aged 13 to 17 spend between 8 and 10 hours a day on social media. I'm just going to let that sink in because that is so much time. And they're very formative years. And time is our most precious asset, precious commodity is our time that we're giving these apps. And I want us all to consider, as we are in this world of social media, growing our businesses, are you doing it intentionally? Are you spending your time on here connecting with people, or is it just a replacement for Netflix? Again, comment live for your free copy of the book if you're watching this live. If you're on the replay, let me know if you're on the replay too. There might be surprises for you as well, but the live people, someone's going to win this. So, but this is the thing. I think that with where we started online with MySpace and Facebook and Twitter, now X and Instagram and TikTok, how are you going to be more intentional with your time while still growing your business? Because community is what's going to move the needle as social media continues to change. So Rich Brooks, he was the first guest today, and his comment was, or review of the book was, if you feel lost by the ever-changing nature of social media, Katie's book charts a clear course back to the foundations, fostering genuine relationships. Her blend of digital marketing, expertise, and personal experiences make this a practical, enjoyable read for anyone whose business is impacted by social media. In other words, everyone. And that was from Rich Brooks. Jeff C., the host of the Social Media News Live show, he wrote, have you noticed how social media feels more like a shopping mall and less like a friendly gathering these days? You're not alone. Katie Brinkley's book, The Social Shift, is all about that change. She dives deep into how we went from cozy chats online to being swamped by ads. But Katie's genius lies not in just her brilliant observations, but her actionable solutions. She gives a sneak peek into the future tech, how to ride its wave, and most importantly, how to bring back that genuine human touch to our digital interactions. If there's one guide to navigating and rejuvenating the social media landscape, this is it. A must-read filled with wisdom and heart. And then Brian Kramer, he is the author of H to H, Human to Human. So I'm very in alignment with his strategies. And he says Katie's latest work is a blockbuster exploration of social media roots, including a how-to approach to authentic human connections, our future with Web3 and the metaverse. With direct guidance and practical strategies, it's a must-read that you won't be able to set aside. So I hope that you all grab your copy of The Social Shift. It's just in time for Christmas. Give it to that business owner that is in that your business bestie. You guys can read it together, have a little book club on it. But yes, The Social Shift is now available. You can grab it at katiebrinkley.com/book. It's available in hardcover or in paperback. And I will be taking them with me when I go to different speaking events. I will be at Podfest. I will be at Capshovians Live. I'm going to be speaking at Social Media Marketing World and at CEX this year. So I will be toting these around for all of those different events. But grab your book today. It's the perfect Christmas gift. katiebrinkley.com/book. And I hope that we all can start shifting our perspectives in the way that we're showing up here online. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for this live social media or the Social Shift book launch party. Thank you to Joe Palizzi, Rich Brooks, Jenny Wright, and Larry Roberts for surprising us today and just talking about some of their best strategies and for being supportive of, helping me along this entrepreneurship journey, which can feel like a lonely road sometimes, but it's all about building out your community. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for popping in, and I will announce the lucky winner of the Social Shift after this live is over. And again, be sure to share that with your friends, katiebrinkley.com/book. And we'll see you all here again soon.